Oh, for sure.
Shall we begin? Let's begin now. Let's begin now.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 11 of DMC Mixers Crew. Today we have a special guest, ID10-T. I think he's one of the best mixers in the United States personally. Real quick though, make sure you guys check out Liquid Barn at www.liquidbarn.com. Use code Mixers Crew and get 15% off your total order. You get free shipping over $50 and DMC sticks for Bull City flavors. Get yourself 6% off of there. They got lightning fast shipping. Check those guys out. Also, I want to send out another congratulations to the giveaway last week to those guys that received their scales and their gift cards from Bull City flavors. In the future, we will have some more stuff for you guys to give away in the community. But today we got a special guest. If you want to introduce yourself, a lot of guys know you, but if you want to talk about yourself a little bit, ID10-T.
Good afternoon, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, welcome, man.
Hi, I do.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Welcome.
I don't like talking about myself, believe it or not. I don't. I like talking about flavors and recipes, but I will talk about myself. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Well, basically, when I mean talk about yourself is like, was you a former smoker or was you?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, what got you into mixing and stuff like that, man?
I started smoking at 15, and I was hooked within, I don't know, as fast as you can be hooked. I was smoking a pack a day. I quit smoking in 2010, and I switched to the snus, the smokeless tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And but that's a really nasty habit, and I tried to quit that too, and had to spend a nice weekend with a girl, and she was smoking, and she, I wanted those cigarettes that she had, so I'd bum them. She made me promise that I would not. She'd loan them to me, let me have some if I promised not to buy anymore, because she was so proud of me for quitting smoking. Because the last time she saw me, I was up to 2 packs a day.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so I promised, of course, that I wouldn't smoke cigarettes. And she also had one of those little cig-alike e-cigs with her for like using in the hotel room. And then the few times that we went outside is when we had real cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And stinkies. And so I lied. No sooner than did I say bye to her, I was at a gas station buying a pack of cigarettes. It was like off to the races. But I felt terrible. It tasted terrible. I felt terrible. I just didn't want to do it. And when that pack ran out, I was hated myself for how badly I wanted to buy another one. And I just wouldn't do it. I said, I can't do this. I went to a vape shop, and the rest is history.
Awesome.
Cool.
And then I was mixing really soon after that, because I just happened to stumble on this website where you could design your own mixes. Mm-hmm. You tell them what to put in there, and it was like down in Dallas, it's a chain of vape shops, B&Ms, and they had a website where you pick primary flavor, secondary flavor, and an additive, mm-hmm. and they'd mix that up for you. And of course, it was overpriced, and I don't know what percentages they were using, but it was pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
But and it took my order forever to arrive, and I even called and talked to them, and they told me that their chemists were busy working on my mixes, and it just sounded so fake to me. I'm like, chemists, really? And it's just some. It was not chemists. Come to find out, it's just some guy. But I got this idea that if they can do it, why can't I?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I, quickly searched the internet, and I stumbled upon the DIY subreddit, and I was just intrigued. I read everything there was to read there before I even bought anything. And then about a month later, I got my first 5 flavors in, and my base, my Nick base, and my syringes. So I was still mixing that way for way too long. There we have it.
So you're saying, do you actually still mix with syringes?
No. No, but I did for way too long, even after people were saying. But when I first started, there were some people using mixing by weight, but I would say that it was not the most popular way to mix.
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
And it makes sense because it's intuitive to mix by volume, because we're taught from an early age that that's how you measure liquids.
Yeah.
So your brain wants to measure liquids by volume, but it's just not the better way. It's just not. But it took me way too long to come around. But I was like, the first batch that I mixed on a scale, that was it. I was done.
Yes.
The syringes were in the trash.
So what?
How long was that?
What's that?
How long did I mix by syringes?
No, how long did have you been mixing, and how long did it take to you to start using the scale?
I've been mixing
Mixing by weight.
for going on 3 years now, 2.5 years. And it's probably split even 50-50 syringes and scale.
So, like, I know you have a lot of recipes that you release on alltheflavors.com, and you of course you have a ton that aren't released. But so, what are your like go-tos? Like, what are your favorite profiles that you like to dabble, like work with, and stuff like that? Like, what are your favorites that you like to vape, like your all-day vapes? Stuff like that.
I don't have an all-day vape.
Well,
I switch flavors. I switch recipes about at least 3 times a day, except on very rare occasions. And I almost never make the same thing twice. At least if I do, it's not exactly the same way. Even if I think it's done and I'm already shared it and I moved on, if I get a hankering for whatever that was, I'll still tweak some little something. It's like, maybe this will be better. I don't think it will be. But maybe it's worth a try. It's something different. I just don't want the same thing, with very few exceptions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But my favorite flavor to play with is mango, probably still, even after all this time. So,
wasn't we just talking about that folk art about a mango?
Yeah, I heard ID10-T talking in a show. It's been some months ago that he really for a very long time was on a quest for the perfect mango, and he was using many different mangoes. You can talk about it if you want to.
Sure. I had bought all of the mangoes I could find that weren't totally obscure. All of the major companies' mangoes, and I had single flavor tested them at all different percentages, and I was trying to, like, every time I sit down to mix, I'd have something else I wanted to make too, but I would also make this mango thing where I just wanted a mango vape. I didn't want anything else. And I would mix different mangoes together and add different fruits to them, different little accents of here and there, just fighting to try to get one that tasted good. And it just wasn't happening for me.
Yeah.
And so finally, Flavora came out with their mango. I'm freaking in love with that flavor. I won't say that it's perfect. It's not a perfect mango. It has some issues. But it's so good that it sort of stopped my crazy quest for the perfect mango because it just is so yummy.
Yeah.
I do have some more here. Someday I'll find an even better one, but for right now, I'm satisfied with that. I'm happy.
Good deal.
It makes me happy.
Good deal.
And if I'm in a super big hurry and just really want something to vape and nothing I've got sounds good or everything's steeping, I will mix that up. Single flavor. Just throw it together and out the door I go.
Awesome. Awesome.
So you like fruits then, mainly?
Yeah. Well, I like everything. For the longest time, it was tobaccos were like the final frontier for me, but I love them now. So
yeah,
there's nothing left for me to not like.
Yeah. So I'm trying to go online right now, and I'm looking at because I actually mixed up your ABDC.
It's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah, like I want to say ABCD, but it's ABDC. And I actually mixed that up 2 weeks ago. It's a phenomenal recipe. I really like it. And me and you have spoke offline a few times about cinnamon Danish swirl. I believe it's in there, and I vaped so much of that. Like in my beginning stages of mixing, I kind of got sick of it.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah, and Rage is a lot of work. The dude from Bull City Vapes, he came out with that Sad Lad recipe that was like a cinnamon toast crunch, and kind of brought me back to that cinnamon Danish swirl because I just, like I said, I vaped it. I couldn't even smell it. Like, you know what I mean? It was just, I just vaped it so much. And then I noticed that you had put it in this recipe. And to be, I honestly, it like the recipe. I'm still trying to find it up with. I mean, I got it in my brain what you put in there, but every concentrate that you did put in the recipe, it's very well balanced. It seems like that there's a lot in there, but me personally, on my palate, I could taste every layer that you put in there. Like, you know what I mean? It's a really good recipe. I honestly think it's a really good fall recipe. Also, because it's an apple butter doodle cookie, and the buttercream, the caramel, cinnamon Danish swirl, the liquid amber, even the vanilla bean ice cream. When a lot of people mix with TFA. I call it TFA, but it's the same thing. TFA, TPA, vanilla bean ice cream. I always get that note, that heavy note of the vanilla bean in it. But the recipe is so well balanced, you really can't pick that. I mean, you know what I mean? You really can't pick it out. You know what I mean? It's really, everything works together. You know what I mean? And the liquid amber, I really like. I like everything about it. I vaped on it for a couple days, and that's why I ask everybody that come on a show, like, what are your like all day vapes and stuff like that? Because me personally, I did throw a poll up on the Facebook page about how often do you change your vapes throughout the day. And it goes back to me, like I said, like, I don't know if it's because like when I smoke cigarettes and chew tobacco, it would just be Marlboro cigarettes. That's all I smoke. Like, you know what I mean? So I think.
Yeah, it's funny. I was the same way. One brand. That's it. Nothing else. If you didn't have that brand, I was going to get mad, leave, and go buy somewhere else. Not just one brand, but one variety. Yeah. I had to have that kind. That's what I smoked. But now it's the variety that keeps me engaged and interested in vaping and not smoking. It's like the opposite side of the spectrum there. Because I just want more and more different things, never the same.
I could see that aspect of it. Me personally, I will vape something until I get vapor stun from it, like, and then I will switch my juices up to kind of reset my palate a little bit, and then I'll go back to my all day vapes, and I usually don't switch throughout the day. But I mean, now that I'm mixing up a lot of other mixers recipes and stuff like that, I do tend to, go on and off throughout the day. So, but I guess everybody's different, you know what I mean, on how they choose to vape and what they vape throughout the day. But if you want to talk about the recipe a little bit on why that you wanted to create this doodle cookie, this apple butter doodle cookie, the liquid amber for me, like, kind of makes it like in there. That kind of gives it that you know what I mean, like the apple butter, like, you know what I mean, and the cookie.
It's just so warm.
It is. It's really
friendly, inviting,
flavorful. I like it a lot.
All the credit for that one
matches greatly with Fuji.
What's that?
Sorry, liquid amber matches very, very well with Fuji.
Oh yes, perfect together. Yes.
Yeah.
They're like Twinkies. They just belong together. Those two.
Now, question for you with the custard being in there, we all know that has to steep. Cinnamon Danish roll, same thing. Now, the two week steep that you have on it, was that because of the Fuji or was that because of the custard?
It's because the apple.
Yes.
Actually,
it's
because the apple. The apple needs to calm down. It's too forward it takes 2 weeks for those other things. It's not really the apple itself. It's just that all of those other things need some time to sort of blossom. And meanwhile, you get apple right from the start. So it just needs some time to calm down, or it does not taste like, because this is a real food. Some things that I make, some recipes are not based on anything in reality at all. But this is a real cookie that I actually make almost every fall. And it's just a snickerdoodle cookie with apple butter that's baked into the cookie dough. And so it's way too much apple right off the rip, and it needs to settle in.
Yeah, because I always, with Fuji apple, I mean, I love that flavor, but you're 100% correct there. It does need to calm down, because like when I mix it straight off the boat, like I get like a outer peel, like I always say pesticide, but like a chemical type flavor to it, and it does take a long time for it to not long, a couple of week or two, but once it does steep, it's a beautiful flavor. I love it, and I think a lot of people in the community, they do use it. Advanced mixers know that it does need to calm down, but I think a lot of the newer mixers out there that experiment with it kind of get turned away from it because of that. It needs that steep, and they don't have the patience for it to really bloom and come out in a recipe. I think it's really good. Yeah, if you guys have any questions in the chat, you can always refer to ID10-T or DIY Mixers Crew. Make sure you put that in the chat if you guys want to ask us any questions, especially if you want to ask ID10-T any questions. Make sure you put that in the chat so he knows that you're talking to him. I
have a question for ID10-T.
Yes.
Good. And I need to say something about that recipe, but go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, where do you come up with your profile ideas? Because you do some pretty creative things with flavors.
They usually come to me in the shower.
In the shower. maybe I need to take more showers then.
Yes, they come from wherever ideas come from. I don't know. They usually come to me in the morning after coffee, but before doing anything besides taking a shower. And I just, that'd be good. I'll do that.
Dude, I literally got a vision in my mind of one of your strap-on recipes. You do it in the shower. And I'm like, wait a minute, man. Strap-on, shower, whatever. Like, I'm going to go stab myself in the eyes. Like this. Anyhow.
You know, most of those, I keep getting blamed for those, but most of those are not mine. And I did not make anybody make those. It's just something that got out of control.
It did. It was funny.
Who started that trend?
I enjoyed it. But
starting something, it's not like I twisted anybody's arm and said, you guys all have to make strap-ons now. I didn't do that. And it's strawberry, apple, watermelon. How could you STR, apple, AP, melon, ON.
Yeah.
Strap-on.
Yeah. And
everybody just enjoyed playing with strap-ons for a while. I don't know what happened. It was poor Scott with his website.
Yes.
He was trying to, sell ad space and stuff. He goes to a meeting with somebody and he's like, you want to buy an ad on my awesome website that gets lots of traffic every day? And they're like, are those dicks all over the front page? He was so mad at me.
That's funny.
Those aren't my dicks on the front page. I may have started it, but that is not my fault. People are adults and have to take responsibility for their own actions.
That's hilarious.
Speaking of that, the cookie, before we go on any further, I need to say that all of the credit for that apple butter doodle cookie really belongs to Goldsmith or Goldfish. He won the first DIY contest with his apple butter recipe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Apple butter. And when I tried it, I was like, oh, that's really good. And it's really apple butter. Mm-hmm. And what do I do with apple butter? Well, I put it in a cookie. And then I was like, okay, that'll work. So there's only one ingredient in that recipe that you made that I published that is different than his apple butter. Only one. I added sugar cookie. Now, of course, the percents are different. I had to rebalance everything.
Yes, you know what? Now that you say that, I remember that. It was the DoD. It was a DoD competition.
It was the DoD competition, yeah, and he won.
It was the World Mixing whatever
Cup number 1.
Yes. Now that you say that, I okay. Yes, yeah. I remember the cinnamon Danish swirl, the Fuji apple, and
everything is the same. I only changed one thing, added one ingredient, and changed all the percents to make them work together.
Okay.
So because he made the apple butter for me, and I just wanted to put it in a cookie, just like I do with actual apple butter.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
And it was just a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
People have gotten the impression that I'm a really good mixer, and it's just not true. I don't have more talent than most of the people that I know that mix. Just work at it really hard, make lots of versions of the same thing until I feel like it's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's one thing about the community, with everybody in the community, whether it be our show or your show, Noted, or any of that. We all collaborate together as mixers, and it makes everybody better mixers.
Certainly,
wonderful. And the community is like such a strong group together. There's really not too many arguments amongst anybody in the community. If there's a disagreement, it gets shot down pretty quick. But that's one thing about it that I really love, and it's awesome. You know what I mean? But are you working on anything right now that you want to discuss, or is that kind of like under the radar? Or?
Oh, I'm always working on something. I have something. You said you were talking about wanting to I could talk about Noted as much as I want to.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Before the show, and there I do have something I want to pimp though. It's not Noted. I think everybody already knows about that. It's MIXERS Club.
Mm-hmm.
I have this thing called MIXERS Club. It's really not mine. It's mine and Concrete Rivers right now, but it's really also all of the people who are in it. Somebody started it, but then she dropped off the face of the earth, and we just sort of picked it up. And what it is, it's mixers who send samples of their recipes every month. Mm-hmm. And so they send 4 samples to our distribution center, and then they get 4 different samples back from other people, or 8, because you can do 2 in 1 month. Mm-hmm. And they try them, and then we have to write critiques of them. Mm-hmm. And so we do all this on Reddit. There's a subreddit that's created called MIXERS Club. Mm-hmm. We just do that every month. So I'm working on my MIXERS Club recipes right now.
Do you have a link for that? Maybe we can, Folker can throw that up there.
Can you throw it in Discord, and I can
I'll see if I can do it without crashing my computer.
Okay.
I've been getting some of those slow internet.
I did hear about that before. Was Copel in that? Chris was
he participated a couple of months. That's just the thing. Participation's not required. It's not like, oh, you didn't send a juice this month, you're out. No. If you feel like it, you do it. If you don't feel like it, you don't do it. If you feel like doing it double time, you send 2. Although it turns out that critiquing 8 juices in 1 month is a lot of work.
Yes, it is.
So should that person send in 1 shots or just the final mix?
All the rules are posted in there, but they send the final mix with no nicotine, because we don't want to get in any kind of trouble for that.
Right.
All right, I've got the link. I'm going to send it to you in the Discord.
Okay. Cool.
And
I was getting ready to ask you about.
Yeah, it's no nicotine. It's a 10 milliliter sample times 4, so 4 of them. And then we just get them and separate people into groups and send it out. And everybody just writes their critiques. They have a month to write their critiques, and then we do it over again.
Awesome.
A lot of recipes of mine have been born from that, because we write prompts for every month. So there's a theme, which is also optional. And trying to follow that prompt is gives you ideas, because you're like, okay, well, I need to make something that fits that, whatever the bonus points, we call it, whatever the bonus points are that month. Mm-hmm. And this month it happens to be candy. So I've got a couple of candy recipes steeping right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun time. I think people, if you're having trouble getting other people to try your recipes and give you feedback, you could force them to. That way it works out nice. Unfortunately for people in places like Portugal, it only works in the United States right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a bit. Yeah.
So moving on though, you guys, whatever, I don't know what happened to Tam. She dropped out. If you guys got any more questions, or if you guys got any questions in the chat, ask them now, because we are going to talk about his Pickle Rick recipe.
Whoa. Pickle Rick?
Yeah, Pickle Rick. I have not vaped it yet, so I don't know what it tastes like. I know that I think Tammy mixed it. I don't know if you guys mixed it yet, but we're going to get a little in depth with that recipe so we can speed up the show a little bit and get to try to get it under an hour for you guys today. But we're gonna discuss that a little bit. So if you guys got any more questions for ID10-T, or if any of you guys in a group have any questions for him, feel free to ask them now, and then we're gonna get into the Pickle Rick.
ID10-T, can you talk about the elusive peanut butter and jelly?
I love your accent. Where are you from?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. All right. Yeah, it's peanut butter and strawberry jellies. I've only tried one recipe for it, and it was pretty decent.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe that's not so hard. But for some reason, grape and peanut butter just do not want to work together.
No,
They just do not. And they're like 12 people have published. I mean, not published as finished, but shared different versions of recipes, like 12 times a piece or more. I think a couple of people say they're over 100.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like 500 or 600 attempts to vape a peanut butter and grape jelly sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you want a link to that? There's a link for that too.
Well, is that Goober Grape?
Yeah, Goober Grape Vape.
Yeah.
Well, who was that? Was it Shindo? Who was it that
the bread?
The bread.
Yeah.
He did, and it's the bread.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Have you experimented with that? Is it work?
Oh yeah, that's all I'm using from now on.
I think he was saying that though he was using the vegetable glycerin base instead of the propylene glycol.
Well, for the RF bread, and it's super strong. I mean, 1% of the VG based. Usually, you use those VG based flavors at like 8% in a recipe just to get the flavor out of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're just weak, and but this is just 1%.
Wow, with the vegetable, the VG base.
Yeah, with the VG base. Yeah, wow. Don't. And if you happen to get some and try to, well, I mean, I've got some I can send somebody if they want to give it a try.
Well, I have it, but to see the thing is with the one that I have it in the.
Do you have the
concentrate?
You have the super concentrate?
Yes.
Make a dilution.
Well, that's what I was talking to Shindo about, and a lot of people are not Shindo himself, but out in the community, they was like, "Well, it's just not the same." And I'm like,
some people say it's not the same. I haven't tried it.
Yeah, like I'm thinking, like, okay, well, why would a chemist make a different? Like, if they're using chemical compounds in a flavor concentrate, why are they going to use different chemical compounds in the super concentrate versus the vegetable glycerin? It's going to be the same recipe that they're going to put in that flavor, but they're just using vegetable glycerin versus alcohol. I think
something about the carrier doesn't seem to make those flavors work differently, though.
I got you.
So even if they're putting exactly the same ingredients in that super concentrate, the same aroma molecules, something about the way it interacts with the carrier makes it taste a little different. So I could understand why it would work in one version and not the other.
Mm-hmm.
Is it pretty difficult to find the VG version other than going straight to Real Flavors? Because I've looked on several different sites, and it seems like all they offer is the super concentrate.
Yeah, because everybody wants that super concentrate, but I don't know. I've been happy with the VG version, other than you don't get your nose too close to it when you're getting that whatever you need for 1% out, because it smells like my pee after a beer bender.
It's funny.
Nice,
it's funny.
Nice.
It's funny though. With me having the super concentrate version of that, when I did do the flavor testing for it, I really liked it. I think I might only used it at like 0.25% or something when I was pissing around with it, but I didn't mind it. A lot of people said that they get like a real heavy yeasty type flavor to it, but like I would like not so much Lewis, but in the United States, like people like are so used to going to the grocery store and buying like a loaf of like Town Talk bread or whatever type of commercial bread that's
out about there. Like Wonder Bread or Mrs. Baird's.
It's not really bread. Now, if you was to go to a bakery and get like fresh baked bread with that outer crust, that's what I get from Wonder Flavors.
Sure, yeah.
That's what I get from it. You know?
It tastes like homemade. Well, I don't know I have not actually single flavor tested the super what was it? Real Flavors?
Yes.
Real Flavors. I have not single flavor tested the Real Flavors bread. That goes against my own rules, which say to test everything before you use it in a recipe. But I just don't want to. I'm sorry, it doesn't smell good. I don't want to. I like Shindo's recipe. If I need to adjust it, I'll just go in blind. I do not want to test different concentrations of Real Flavors bread, it sounds like a terrible idea.
I liked it. It wasn't bad, but a lot of people say they get like beer or they get like a real high, hard, yeasty taste to it.
Well, beer is it tastes like bread. Beer's just liquid bread anyway, right?
Bread. That's all it is. Yeah.
That's what I tell myself when I'm trying to follow the food pyramid anyway.
So I got to re-wick because I kind of screwed up. I should have did that before the show. But anyhow, getting onto your pickle, Rick, man. Like, what made you decide to do this friggin' recipe, man? Like, honestly, like, I kind of read up on it. Like, on
honestly, John, we're getting back to Mr. Goldsmith, whatever his name, Goldfish is what he usually goes by. I hope he's listening because this is about him again. He sent me, and I don't know why he did it. He was sending me something that I wanted. And so I was, happy to receive that. We were going to work on a recipe together, and it probably had something to do with that. That project kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. Mm-hmm. But he sent me some one-on-one flavors, including the infamous cheese.
Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah. You know what? Speaking of that, we're not to interrupt you, but when I sent you some of those one-on-one flavors, you was like, dude, don't send me the cheese. But I still sent you the cheese just to jack you off.
I saw it, yeah. You sent me the cheese, and I saw it. And I said, don't send me any cheeses. And you sent all the cheeses. Yeah.
Jesus.
That's why.
Just mess with you. That's
and
all.
You had it single bagged, but those flavors are now double bagged in a plastic bag in my old tub of one-on-ones. So yeah, what made me do that anyway? He sent me, and I guess it was a joke or something, or he just couldn't find a use for them, I think is what he said. So he sent me the pickle, the sriracha, and the cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mixers Club theme was cookout. And I cheated because Rick and I are the moderators there, so I knew that was coming up. So I got a little bit of a head start on it.
Mm-hmm.
Other than just the 1 month. But I thought, cookout, it's going to be hot. What keeps you cool? Popsicles. And thought about how that pickle's been tempting me. I smelled it, never mixed anything with it. And so I said, let's do this. And I single flavor tested it, and it was horrible. And it was a horrible experience. But I was like, I can fix this. I can make something out of this. And I know that I've got that challenge coming up. Let's do a pickle pop. Because those things are popular and super refreshing. People love those things down here.
So that's,
I've heard that.
So that is a real thing.
That's what
it is a real thing.
Is that big down south?
Yeah. It is big. Yeah,
it is.
Mm-hmm.
See, I've never heard of that up north. Being in PA, I've never heard about pickle pops.
Yeah, you can go right to the gas station and buy them.
The Dent Man had some trouble finding one in New Jersey, but he finally tracked one down.
Now, is that they actually use real pickles?
Yep.
They use pickle juice, yeah, and it's frozen. Or it doesn't have to be frozen. You can buy it unfrozen, but it's so much better frozen. You don't want to drink hot pickle juice, man. That's gross.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the one-on-one pickle tastes like. Like you pulled the pickles off of a McDonald's hamburger.
Oh.
Even with, how you get those little onions stuck to them. And it's got that warmth from the burger that seeps up into it from the pickle, so it's not crisp and refreshing like eating a cold pickle.
Like a soggy pickle.
Yeah, it's like a soggy pickle that's already been inside of a hamburger, and now you're taking it out of the hamburger and putting it in your face.
Okay.
And that's just not fun. But I just set out to I know this isn't that great of a flavor, but I'm going to make the best possible thing I can make out of this. I'm going to make this thing work. And that's as far as I got, is Pickle Rick.
Awesome.
Did you run into any complications when you were making this recipe that you had to adjust in order to make it work?
Yeah. I want to thank Concrete River, also known as Rick, because he tasted a version that didn't have that Bitter Wizard in there.
Okay.
And I'd never used Bitter Wizard before. It was never something really even on my radar. I mean, I knew what it was, but I never bought it or used it. And he suggested that it might clean up, because what happens is that onion thing that I mentioned earlier, that from the inside of a hamburger, that gets way worse when you mix it with sweeter flavors. Even cucumber is relatively sweet compared to the one-on-one pickle. So it got worse when I mixed it, and I was like, this is not doing a great job. The WS-23 wasn't covering it up completely, and he suggested that, and I tried it, and it helps. It helps quite a bit clean it up.
Mm-hmm. Now, what made you?
But it's also dry, so I used as much as I could to cover up that pickle, that oniony thing, and make it a little bit more like garlic, which belongs in pickle, you know.
Yes.
And I used as much as I could without drying out the vape too much. It does dry it out a little, but I would not call it a dry recipe at all. And I needed the recipe to be wet, or it just wasn't going to be pleasant. So
now, with the Capellas cucumber.
yeah,
Now, with all the other cucumbers that are out there on the market, what made it you go for the Capellas cucumber versus another vendor? Would you say? Like,
I read about the other cucumber. Well, for one thing, I already had Capella's cucumber, but I also already had Flavora's cucumber. And Flavora's cucumber it tastes kind of warm, if that makes sense to me.
Yes.
And I did not. I want this to be cold. I want everything to read cold. I didn't want to add more warm, mushy cucumber. We got more than enough of that from the one-on-one flavor. I didn't want to even bother with trying to bring in another flavor like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's not a good flavor that would have plenty of uses. I just didn't think it would fit here at all. And I already had Capella and didn't have the flavor art version. Didn't want to order it just for this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, the cooling aspect of it, I'm on the pickle right now. Actually, when I opened the cap, we were bullshitting on the, I don't know if you got, I'm like on the other side of my table, so I apologize if you can't hear me too good. But
I hear you.
Okay, so I actually, when I seen this pickle recipe on ATF, I'm like, oh, I got to mix this up, try it out, this, that, and the other. And then we were getting to bullshitting on the Discord with ID10-T, and I was like, you know what, I had a couple, I'm not going to lie, I had a couple beers in me, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to buy the flavor pack of all the savory flavor pack from One-on-One.
Because freaking did it too. It sent me half of them.
Yeah. Because like, dude, they are so bad. I literally got it in the mail, and it smelled like you walk out. Like if you're in New York City, the dirtiest part of New York City that you can find a McDonald's, go out back and just throw old shit in a dumpster. Like that's what my freaking mail smelled like. It was just some of those flavors, like the
that's
garlic.
that cheese, man.
Oh Jesus God, they were bad. But honestly, I think that we could talk about that after the recipe. But some of those flavors in the savory pack from One-on-One, I think they can be utilized.
No, man, we're going to find a winner in there. We're going to try those. We're going to test them at different percentages. We're going to think about not the end goal, not what are we going to try to make, but what can we take? What can we do? This is what this flavor tastes like now. This may not be great, but we just have to accept that this is what it tastes like, and what can we add to it to make it as good as it's going to get.
Yeah, I mean,
and I bet we'll make some bangers out of those.
Oh
things.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, with us as mixers, you know, we can only go as far as the concentrate companies out there that are developing these flavors for us. We can only push those so far for a recipe, so we have to kind of use on what they give us. And like you said, I'm sure that there's a few in there that, like I was looking at I'm trying to do a chicken and waffles. I've been kind of working on that. I tried to get it done by the end of this week, but I don't think that's going to happen because I really don't want to rush it. I want to get it right. It's going to take me a while. It's probably going to take me a month in order to get it to where I want it.
Well, it is so difficult to translate a savory flavor into a vape. I mean, it's virtually impossible, I think. Hard to, anyway.
Well, I think one of the problems with that is that VG is sweet inherently.
Yeah.
So when you go mixing savory type flavors in with that to vape it, it just comes out gross.
Well, if we had the ability to taste the saltiness of something in a vape, that may fix that, but we can't do that because that's tongue. That's on your tongue. Whereas
wait till you try that pickle.
Okay, well,
Well, that's another thing.
I didn't
too.
say impossible, but difficult.
So now the WS23 that you added to this, I'm assuming. I mean, we know as mixers that's for the cooling effect. Did it inherently mute anything in the recipe was?
I don't want to say that it mutes, but I turned it up so high that it distracts. How's that?
Okay,
It's a better word for what it does.
we got you.
So we are distracting you from the taste of the pickle with a lot of cold, and which is the same thing as eating a pickle pop. I mean, honestly, if you guys could just try a pickle pop frozen out of the freezer and come in from a hot day and try that, you would understand a lot better why I immediately went to very, very cold with a pickle, because I have done that and it's not a bad experience at all. It's very refreshing. Whereas if you think about taking a jar of hot pickle juice and just drinking it, I can't even hardly think about that without feeling sick. It's gross.
I like the taste of pickle. I like, honestly, I'm really digging this, man, because like I like pickle juice. It reminds me of when I was a kid. There was an old man that lived across the street from us, and
wait, where's this story going? I don't like this old
no.
man's pickle story.
He used to drink pickle juice.
Yeah, pickle Rick.
Yeah, he used to drink pickle juice. Like his blood pressure was probably like through the roof because of all the salt and stuff and vinegar and whatever they put in pickles, all the sodium. But like he used to drink pickle juice, and I tried it one time, and pickle juice to me I think has a good flavor. I like that. Like sweet, like tart, like garlic, in a pickle. So
I'll drink it too if it's ice cold. But just the idea of a warm one just yucks me right out. Mm-hmm. Which is what vaping 101 pickle by itself tastes like to me. It's just like warm pickle juice, which is just so nasty. Right off the burger where it's still warm and soggy, with onions on it and everything.
Onions. So you're saying that with this pickle, you get like an onion flavor from it?
Single flavor, I'd call it about halfway between an onion and garlic, which, like I said, garlic belongs in pickle juice. Onion really does, not sweet onion doesn't. But then you mix it up with the cactus and the cucumber, which are both relatively sweeter, and it really takes on more of an oniony character, like a sweet onion. So that what Rick said would probably work, and what I tried and did work was that Bitter Wizard pulling it back a little bit, back away from the onion, back towards garlic.
So real quick, the guys out there that are watching, this is on alltheflavors.com. It's under ID10-T, and it is called Pickle Rick. I see it already had 3 reviews, so it actually got 3 reviews at 5 stars. And so to go through what he had put in here, he uses Flavor Art Bitter Wizard at 0.3%, I&W Cactus at 0.4%, Capella's Cucumber at 2.5%, One-on-One Flavors Pickle at 4%, WS23 at 1.55%. And it's just a basic, there's not that many concentrates in there, which is good because I like me, myself as a mixer also, is I try to achieve a mix with at least ingredients as I possibly can in a mix. And hopefully this is going to hit it for me. I'm kind of scared to vape a pickle, but we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? If real quick, if you guys got anything while I juice this up on my RDA.
I like to give that one a little steep because of the cactus, actually. I can taste cactus in it fresh, and the cactus flavor actually kind of goes away. It really, at least overnight. So you're probably going to get some cactus, but just know that if you came back to it a couple of days from now, that would calm down.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like with you, I've only been mixing 3 years. So me personally, like I'm going to know that some of the concentrates in there are going to need a steep, but to get the general.
It's really just the cactus. The cactus just needs to chill out. And it always does for me. Like even 0.25% of cactus is not a shake and vape ingredient. It's an overnight steep, at least.
That literally smells like a friggin' pickle.
I told you, that's what it is. You have to. People have said multiple times who have tried this recipe and reviewed it. It's good, but you have to want to vape a pickle. If you don't freaking try this because it's not going to be good.
I like pickles, so
All right.
you know what I mean.
I think you're going to like it.
It literally smells like a pickle. Like I just opened a jar of pickles, and
I'd like you to smell that right next to the one-on-one pickle and see if you can see the difference. See if you think it smells like it'd be a lot better before you go vape it.
Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Yeah, that's one thing about one-on-one flavors of the savory pack that I got. Some of them seem to be authentic, and some of them seem to be like way off. Like I don't know what the hell they were thinking when they were creating some of these.
Maybe don't touch the ones that are way off.
Yes. And yes, you are correct. Smelling the pickle, I do get a strong garlic, onion coming from the bottle. I do get a strong garlic onion, like in your face. Not so much the pickle, but when I smell the juice, it, like you said, it tames it down. And the pickle kind of shines through more.
That was the idea. Okay, good.
And that's exactly what I get from just smelling the juice versus the concentrate. So by you saying that, I'm assuming that it does have that real pungent onion flavor and garlic flavor when the single flavor tested.
Yeah, it does.
Bum 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 bum.
Wow, that WS-23 really. Whew.
It hurts at first almost.
Yeah, dude. I get it, man. I get the pickle. It's really good. For what you had to work with in it, dude, it's fucking on point. Like, you know what I mean? You get that super cooling effect from the WS-23. And with the Bitter Wizard, like you said, it takes care of the notes that you were trying to.
It mostly takes care of them. Yeah. It helps a lot.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And I honestly, it's weird, but I mean, I know it has to steep, but it's weird that I can. And that's one thing about you as a mixer. When I mix up some of your recipes, because I've had mixed up other recipes before from you, I taste the layers in your recipes. Like, you know what I mean? They're well balanced to where, like me as a seasoned mixer, I can pick out those notes that you were going for in a recipe. And I can pick those out. I can pick the pickle, the coolness, just like everything. Like you said, the cactus kind of in your face, I'm really not feeling it, but that might be just my palate. But
no, it just needs to calm down. Like it goes away.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I like it. I mean,
I hope you weren't planning on using that RDA for anything else for a while.
No, I soak mine. So, I mean, when I mix up other recipes and stuff like that, I mean, I'll soak it. But if you guys out there in the community are really looking for, like I said, I'm from up north in the United States, so I really don't have access to like frozen pickle pops. I've really never tasted a frozen pickle pop, but I think if I was to taste a frozen pickle pop, this would taste exactly like a frozen pickle pop to me, because it has that coolness, which I like because it gives me that throat hit that I like, and it really reminds me of a pickle. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how you did it, but for me it's phenomenal.
Well, one-on-one did it. I just did my best to clean it up, like to finish the job for them. What about that saltiness like a pickle has?
You know what? That's another point that I was going to touch on. I do get that saltiness now. So we'll take it from like a lot of people can't describe it, but I try to do the best I can. On the initial inhale, I do get that WS-23, that cooling effect. Now, when you gradually come up at the top of the vape, when it's full in your lungs, I do, for some reason, I don't know how you did it, I do get that saltiness with the vinegar. that you're going to use, like from the pickle. And
That's that one-on-one. Isn't it cool?
Yeah, I get that saltiness, and I get that vinegar that they would use in the pickle. Now at the top of the vape, and then I'm coming back down from it, is where I'm like, for me, like I could see how you use that cucumber.
That's where that floral cactus is probably kicking in. And
Yeah.
it doesn't need to. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it comes in though, but it's at the very end of the vape where you get the pickle. So for me, the coolness, the saltiness, the vinegarness comes up in the vape, and then you get that pickle, that pickle with the cactus and the cucumber and you know what I mean? It really plays well. Like I said, it's balanced to where I can taste it and it's enjoyable. It's not muddled to where, okay, I'm just tasting the WS-23, or I'm just tasting the pickle, or I'm just tasting the cactus in it. It's everything's where it should be in the vape. And like I said, if you enjoy frozen pickles, I mean, I'm not saying that you guys out in the community want to vape a pickle, but it's spot on. Like frozen pickle. That's exactly what it tastes like to me. It's really good. And the saltiness is there. I don't know how you got that saltiness in there.
Have you ever had that kind of saltiness in a vape before?
Not at all.
It's nuts, right?
Yeah,
it blew my mind.
It has. I'm assuming it's from one-on-one for whatever they put in that concentrate.
Yeah, it is. That concentrate salty on its own. When the first time I tried it, I was like, holy shit, that's salt.
Yeah.
You don't get that in a vape.
Yeah.
So I was excited to make that recipe, to use it because of that.
Awesome.
And you get that saltiness on your palate. You really do. And like if I didn't like it, I'm using the same RDA. I wouldn't be vaping it if I didn't think it was good. Like it's.
The one thing I don't like about it is I did everything I could to make it as juicy as I could, without messing up the flavor, and it is actually not that juicy and refreshing.
And I think another thing too, I get the juiciness from it.
I think it could be there more. I mean, I think it should be there more, but I don't know how to get it there more.
Well, it could be because of the one-on-one pickle. I didn't single flavor test it.
It's dry. It'll dry you out.
That, and I think it's because of the salty aspect that the one-on-one pickle brings to it. That kind of like will, give it that. But the thing about it is it's now that I'm vaping it for a while, I should say that my palate's, I don't usually put WS-23 or like a Polar Blast or whatever in like my juices. That's not my style. So I really don't. I have them, but I don't mix with them per se in a lot of recipes. And now that after taking a couple chops off of the juice, my palate's getting used to WS-23. Like, you know what I mean? So my palate's kind of adapting to that, to where it's not so much like in your face W23. You know what I mean? It's sitting where it should be sitting in the recipe,
Cool,
guys.
Well, I'm glad you liked it and didn't feel like you were abused in your olfactory system.
Nah, dude, it's pretty freaking awesome. Honestly, I mean, I made a 30 mil, and I'll vape it.
I bet you can get those pickles from Walmart or Sam's or Costco if you try to look them up.
You know what? I'll try. I know.
Make your own pickle.
Some of the stores around us don't have some of the stuff in the South, but
there's a true DIYer right there. Pickle your own pickles and then drink it. Freeze the juice and drink it.
Just take an ice tray and fill it up with pickle juice.
Fill it up with pickle juice, man.
Some popsicle sticks and.
Buy yourself some kosher dills, man. Put them in the freezer.
Remember, the brand of pickle matters.
Yes.
It really, if you're going to do that yourself, it really matters. I'm just saying, there's a huge difference between Vlasic and Clausen pickle juice.
So I'm assuming that people actually make these themselves down in the South.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I've never heard of it. I never heard of it until I saw somebody eating something that said pickle pop on the side, and I said, "What the heck?" But I mean, pickleback's been a thing for a long time. Pickleback shots.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's pickle juice and bourbon.
Well, a lot of times we use them down here for sports. The kids drink the pickle juice and stuff.
That's what the pickle pops are supposed to be for. They're for after sports. During sports.
Yeah, keep the cramps.
Put those
down.
Electrolytes back.
Yep.
Dude, this is
better than Gatorade, man.
Now that I keep vaping on this is like really good, dude. Like I am surprised, and I am just from doing the smell test from the one-on-one flavors pickle, like you said with the onion and garlic, I get it from the smell, but I don't get it from the juice at all. I really don't get too much of an onion or garlic from it. I just get that nice vinegar, salty pickle from it. It's really good, dude. So if you guys out there in the community that are watching, or you guys that are watching the replay, make sure you check out this pickle recipe. Pickle Rick from ID10-T.
Rick.
Tell you what, man, I liked it enough. I ran out of pickle, and I just ordered 30 more mils of that stuff from one-on-one.
Wow,
because I want to play with it some more. Because it's salty. What else? I mean, that's.
So, David, do you
Yes,
think that you would categorize this recipe as a breakthrough recipe, being that it does have a saltiness to it?
No, it's just silly. It's not a breakthrough.
Ah, come on. I mean, people have been trying to get a salty flavor for a very long time.
Well, see, that's the thing now, Folkart. Now, depending on what one-on-one used chemically in order to represent that saltiness in the vape, now that's something that, one-on-one would probably have to put into a concentrate in order to represent that saltiness in a concentrate.
Exactly.
Now, if you're going to say, hey, yeah, I want to use the saltiness of the vape, so I'm going to throw a pickle at it. I honestly, I don't think that there's probably.
You can't divorce the salt from the pickle.
Right,
yeah,
those things are married in there.
But
and you're not gonna be able to use that pickle.
But
I have an idea. Think about all of the other things that are pickled.
Yeah.
That
But see, the question is though, Dave, is how would you get rid of the pickle flavor? The vinegar's there and the saltiness is there.
And the spices and the pickle. I'm going to find out. I want to find out if it can be done, because there are a lot of other vegetables and fruits that you pickle, and I want to see if one-on-one pickle can pickle them.
Well, think of this. How much of that cucumber is bleeding through that mix? Because that's the only thing. But that's the only thing that's really distinguishing it as a pickle. Is I thought the pickle was it's more of the brininess of the solution though. So like if you pickled cranberries, you're going to get the inherent sweetness. You're going to get inherent saltiness, the vinegary. It's just like having cranberry juice, or not cranberry juice, but
is pickled cranberries a thing?
Yeah.
Around
Thanksgiving, everything pickled's a thing.
Everything's a thing. My grandmother pickles watermelon rinds.
Yeah.
And sometimes does them with red hot candies.
Candies, yeah.
So, real quick though, before we get out of here, I really, really want to give a special thanks to ID10-T for coming out for us today, discussing his Pickle Rick recipe. Kind of picking his brain on some of the stuff he does on a day-by-day basis as a mixer. Make sure you check his show out, Noted. It's on the DoD network. You can catch it at what days is. Well, if you want to talk about it real quick, Dave, on what day
it's
your
tomorrow,
show.
And it's the second in our 3-part series on tobacco flavors.
Okay. So, make sure you check his. What time is that for them guys out there?
That is going to be 11 o'clock Eastern.
11 p.m. Eastern time. And make sure you check him out. Then tomorrow he'll be on there, Noted. Who's on there? Is Emily?
ML Nikon, Emily, and Steven Chiba Steba.
Yeah, Chiba.
I just call him Cheebs.
Yeah, check him out on there. And I always find it educational. Their show, they really get in depth on a lot of flavors out there for you guys. So if you guys are on the fence on some of the flavors that you guys are debating on whether or not getting, they really get in depth on a lot of flavors on their show. They talk about them, and it's an excellent, it's an excellent show for that. So like I said, special thanks to you for coming on the show today, Dave. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask in the Discord. But we're going to get out of here for today. Make sure you guys, like I said, make sure you check out www.liquidbarn.com. Use the code MIXERS Crew. Get 15% off your total order. $50. You get free shipping. DM6 for 6% off Bull City flavors. If you guys got anything else, that gets us it for today. And we will catch you guys next week, same time every week on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. You guys got anything else before we go?
I just want to thank ID10-T for coming on. Really enjoyed it, man. Thanks a lot.
Yep,
Hey, thanks for having me.
Great.
It's just like Noted. There's nothing I'd rather be doing for an hour sitting around talking about mixing or flavors. My favorite thing to do.
Awesome, dude. Thanks.
We appreciate it, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming.
We'll see everybody next Sunday.
Yes, sir.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Shall we begin? Let's begin.